Are you ready to turn heads? Luxury isn't just worn, it's experienced. Introducing a Layla Cara style and new up-and-coming designer collection where exclusive shoes and bags for men and women meets your feet. How about you take a handbag and wear it in style, where each piece is personally designed by Layla Carroll herself and handcrafted from the finest material in Italy. Leather, smooth like butter, bold, timeless, distinctly you. Step into true elegance and make your mark with a Layla Cara style where confidence meets craftsmanship. Visit a Layla Cara style and experience the luxury of art that you wear. Bum 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 bum. Do you know what theme song? What music that is? Do you know what movie that is? I think y'all know. That's like old school Coming to America. Oh, say, can you see? I'm coming to America. Okay, let me start clowning around and just get to the message. So, my name is Alayla. Welcome to my podcast for those of you who are new to my podcast. And for those of you who are not new, welcome back. I am so happy that you guys made it through another year. It is 2023, and I am hoping that each of you have a wonderful, wonderful start of this new year. It's a fresh new year, and I'm hoping that everyone is already getting some of the things that they desire for this year. Now, today's topic is about getting your affairs in order. So let me just go right on into it. I want to share some stories with you, but I also want to give you some information that is very valuable to your life. We're going to talk from two different sources. We're going to talk from the Holy Bible, yes, and we're also going to talk from my book. My book is called It's called A Change in Directions, a guide to helping you make good decision by Alayla Cabot. Cabot is my maiden name, so that's why I put that last name on there, because I think I explained to you guys a lot earlier when I was talking about my book. The reason why I wrote the book was for my son. So his last name is my maiden name. So I wanted to make sure I kept that kind of in that line. I'm going to give you some description about my book so that way you get an opportunity to understand what the book is about. So when I do the quote in there, you understand why I put the quote in this message. This book is actually 50 quotes, and it has 50 points to each quote. This is a lifestyle book. It's a guide to help you make good decisions. It's thought-provoking, self-awareness, and it gives you the opportunity to just make practical decisions based on your everyday life. You can pick up a copy from this book from Amazon. Amazon sells this book. If you want to buy the book, the best way to pull this book up right away is to just type the word book, then write the title, type title, which is going to be A Change in Direction, and then my name, Alayla, and you're going to put my maiden name, Cabot, okay? So that's going to be Alayla with apostrophe. That's A''L''A''. And the last name is Cabot, C-A-V as in Victor, I-T. And you can pick up a copy of the book. It comes in hard copy, paperback, and ebook for those of you who have Kindle or any type of ebook file. our app. You can also purchase it on there. So I want to talk about getting your affairs in order. The reason why I chose this topic is because I have some life stories that allowed me to make some changes in my life. Last year, 2022, there was two relatives of mine who had passed away. I had a cousin, two cousins. First, it was the son of my first cousin. He died. And then 6 months later, the dad died, which is my first cousin. We buried him in December, right before Christmas. And I remember when I got the news that he was gone, he was no longer with us, I had a dream about him. And when I had the dream, it was that he came to me and he was talking about that he had to go and he had somewhere that he needed to be. And it was other people around us and everything, but I noticed that it was a lot of water everywhere. It was like the beach was kind of like at the beach, and it was a house, and that house was the only house that was on that beach. And I kept saying, I can't go. I want to go home. And he was like, you're not going. You can't go where I'm going right now. It's not time for you to go. And I was like, okay, this is all in a dream. So I was like, okay, so where are you going? He's like, I have to go to the other side. And I remember seeing him get in a boat with a lot of other people, and he went sailing off across the ocean. And I was like, how am I going to get home? I am stuck here by myself. And then I woke up. When I woke up, I got a phone call. What was it, a phone call or a text message? Actually, it was a text message from my mother saying that my cousin had died. And I was like, wow. Oh my goodness, are you serious? I just had a dream about him. That's what he meant about he had to go to the other side. Okay. And that's what he meant about that I couldn't go with him right now. It was just not my time. And I was like, okay. But then I've seen a lot of people that was on that boat with him. So that means that it was a lot of other people that was going to pass away around the same time frame as he did. And they're all going to go to the other side. They're going to transition over. It made sense. It was clear to me at that moment that I needed to get my affairs in order. What do I mean by getting your affairs in order? So let me explain to you about what that means. We don't go around every day wondering how tomorrow is going to be when it comes to, are we going to still be alive? Are we going to still be in good physical health? Are we going to be able to even do things that we normally do on a regular, consistent basis? We don't think about any of those things on a daily to day basis. We don't do that. It'll come across our mind every now and then all of a sudden we don't think about it anymore. So what I mean by getting your affairs in order is that we need to literally sit down and think about what is really important to us, because we hear this all the time. Tomorrow's not promised. Now people don't say tomorrow's not promised anymore. Now they say the next hour is not promised. But to be honest, the next second is just not promised. And even though it seems that we might have a whole lot of life ahead of us, that doesn't mean that we do. And people pass away promptly. All it takes is for a moment in time to change everything about your life. And that moment can mean an accident, a car accident, a boating accident, a ski accident, any type of accident. It can even mean your heart just stops beating in your chest. Or it can mean that you just had a aneurysm and it just busted and you're no longer here. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about your transition. You just might transition over and you don't know when that is going to be. Then you might say, okay, Layla, why are you talking about death? Well, we don't talk about death enough, and that's why I'm talking about it, because we avoid this topic as much as possible. There has been times when people would be like, um, God forbid, that you don't die, nothing like that. Let's not talk about that right now. Let's not talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. But in reality, that's a part of life. Living and dying, they go together. Did you hear me? Living and dying, they go together. There's no getting around it. There's a time to live, and then there's a time to die. What do you plan on doing for your life while you're living? And what do you plan on doing for your death while you're gone? You're probably like, what are you talking about? You can't plan while you're gone. Yes, you can. Let me explain what I mean by that. So, I had a friend who was 35 years old, and she got diagnosed with breast cancer. Not just breast cancer, but stage 4 breast cancer. And as a woman, they tell us to get mammograms when we turn 40. Well, she was 35, so how was she going to go get a mammogram when they told us to wait until we're 40 years old? And on top of that, we need to be referred to a specialist to get that done. So she wasn't able to get that done to even know that that's what she had. I remember her being sick in her last days. I didn't know why she was sick because she never told anybody what her problem was. I don't even know if she even knew that she had breast cancer. I don't think she knew. I think she found out the day that she went to the hospital. But either way it go, I remember her being sick all the time. Like flu-like symptoms. That's the kind of symptoms she would have. And her voice would go out and she was like, she don't call me a Layla. She called me Leia. Leia. And she'd be like, girl, I'm sick. Oh my goodness, I don't feel good. I'm not going to be able to I ain't going to work today. Because see, that's how we met. Me and her met at my former job and HP. And we became real good friends. And I helped her out a lot. She didn't have a car, so I would pick her up and take her to work and then take her home from work. And if she needed to go to the store, grocery store, and something like that, I would take her to the grocery store and, help her run some errands and stuff like that. That was what I did for her. Then we became even closer to where we would start going out together. We went clubbing and we was doing a lot of good things. And then we would just talk on the phone and just have a great conversation and stuff. But I remember her being so ill to where I was like, girl, you stay with a cold. You stay with the flu. What's wrong with you? She was like, I don't know. I'm just going to take some medicine and go to sleep. Well,
we'll be back after a quick break.
If you haven't already, check out my luxury shoe and bag collection, a Layla Cara style. Each piece is personally designed by me and handcrafted from genuine Italian leather. Whether you're dressing up or keeping it casual, these pieces were made to help you walk with confidence. Because real style starts from how you feel. Go to alaylacarolstyle.com and experience these bold, timeless, and completely all you. Check it out. You might find something you like. That was the time when she was going through the different stages of her breast cancer. And she just didn't know it, and no one knew it. But when she went to the hospital, this was back in 2016. I remember the exact day. It was June, no, it was July the 4th, 2016. I got a text message from one of her ex-boyfriend. He said, "Is it true?" And I say, "What?" And then he said her name. I would not say her name. I don't want to put her name out there. And he said her name. And he said, "Is she dead?" I said, "What? What are you talking about?" He said, "Is it true that she died tonight?" I said, I don't know. Let me check." So I got to calling around and asking people. And all of a sudden, I got a phone call from one of her really best friends that she had been friends with since childhood. And she confirmed it. She said, yes, she died in the hospital. And they said that she had stage 4 breast cancer. And there was nothing they could do about it. And I was so hurt. Man, I ain't gonna lie. That took a lot out of me. I didn't know how to process that because on one hand, I'm thinking she's 35 years old. Why does she have breast cancer that young? Then another hand, I'm like, if they don't make us wait to 40 to get a screening, she could have probably found out a whole lot earlier when she was first in stage 1 to get that situation handled. So I just didn't want to put myself in a situation where I had that problem. So I had to start getting my affairs in order. When it came time to bury her, she did not have life insurance. And one of the reasons why she didn't have life insurance is because she didn't have her job anymore. Before she passed away, Hewlett Packard was laying everybody off. They was closing the factory down. So everybody, including myself, had got laid off. So that means that your benefits are gone too. So whatever benefits you have, medical benefits, health insurance, life insurance, or any type of benefits the job provides for you, then that means that that goes away. Well, that's what happened. That went away and she didn't have it anymore. So there was no way for her to be able to have insurance to be buried with. I remember her family was trying to raise money to bury her. I did not know that the mortuary, the funeral home will not bury you if you don't have no money to pay for the burial until a certain period of time. Then they will bury you. So her body stayed out for 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks. Actually, no, I take that back. It was more than 2 weeks because I remember asking questions about when her funeral was going to be, and her family kept saying, we don't know. And finally, her best friend called me again and told me what was going on. Nobody have money to bury her, and we have to raise a certain amount of money so we can at least get her cremated. And I was like, how much does it cost to cremate? And she said something like $12,000 or $12,000. Oh, good grief. That is a lot of money to just be burnt. That's how I thought, just to be burnt. That's a lot of money. That's what I was thinking. So I was like, wow. So if it costs $12,000 just to burn your body, how much does it cost to put it in the dirt? Because you gotta pay for the casket, you gotta pay for the embalming fluid. There's a lot of things that you gotta pay for. So I told myself, I do not want my family to have to go through that. I do not want my family to have to grieve just because they can't pay for my funeral. So that means they're going to grieve twice. They're going to grieve for me dying, and they're going to grieve for me not being able to pay to be put in the ground or to be cremated, and they can't pay. I should have got my own self covered. It's just all a big mess. So I didn't want that happening. So I decided to start looking for life insurance for myself. At that time, I was 37. I was 37 years old because I'm older than her 2 years. So I did not know how insurance worked, how life insurance worked. I didn't understand the concept of it because I didn't think I actually needed it. I thought I was young and, I ain't finna die no time soon, and hey, it's whatever, That was my mentality at the time before the situation with my friend. Now my whole perspective has changed. So now I'm looking for life insurance. So what I did was I started searching around for life insurance, and I am a AAA member. So I didn't know that AAA provided life insurance until I started looking at my benefits of what they had, and I came across life insurance coverage with them. I decided to go ahead and get life insurance. But what I signed up for was for a 30-year term life insurance. I had gotten a policy for that. Like I said, I really did not know how it worked. I had no idea. I just knew that I just need to be covered. So what I ended up doing was paying for a policy, a term life policy for 30 years. That was going to be what I was planning on doing. But I didn't realize how long that would have took me to pay that policy, to find out after the policy is now expired that I am up in age and I no longer have that policy no more. I haven't died, so that means I still need coverage. And I was thinking like, nah, something's just off about this policy. I don't know what it is, but something's off. It sounds good. I pay only $27 a month, but something's just off about this policy. I don't know what it is. So I decided to start doing some research. And this is recently when I decided to do this research. What I found out about my policy was that every year that I turn either 0 in my number or 5 in my number, that my premium was going to go up. So let's say, for instance, that I turned 40. Okay, now my premium goes up. Then I turn 45. Now my premium goes up. Then I turn 50. Then my premium goes up. Then I turn 55. Then my premium goes up. So I am going to be 45 years old come this April, and I knew my premium was going to go up. So I was thinking, what can I do to change that? Because I don't want to be paying such a high premium. It makes no sense. So, like I said, I was doing my research. I got on YouTube and I started seeing some videos, and there was one guy that was talking about converting the term life into a permanent life. And I was like, how do you do that? So of course I'm continuing to listen to him. And then he gave his phone number, and he happened to live in Houston, Texas. I was like, hey, I live in Houston, Texas. Oh my God, this is so cool. Let me call him right now. So I ended up calling him up, and he was telling me what to do, how it works. He gave me a lot of information. I was like, okay, well then, so what do I do to get started to convert this term life into permanent? And he told me, well, first let me find out from your company, do you have a pretty much how this is going to go? It's like this. I first need to know what's the expiration date for your convert. And I told him I have a 30-year term or whatever. And he was like, okay, well, you still should be able to convert it then. You should have enough time. Then he was like, well, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you an email. I'm going to send you a one-page information where you can go ahead and sign the information, send the paper back to me. Then I can contact your life insurance and talk to them, and then find out exactly how much it's going to cost to change your term life into permanent life. And you pay the fees, and then that's that. Well, when I got off the phone with him, I started thinking like, you know what? do I really need him to do all that? Or can I do that myself? Because I don't like middlemen. I just don't. I have a thing against the middleman. Yeah, I do. I know it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. I feel like cut out the middleman and let's get straight to the source. Where is the source? I need to talk to that person. I need to get to that person. I don't need the middleman in the middle trying to be my voice. I got a voice. I can talk for myself. That's how I feel, you know? So, anyways, I called my life insurance company myself. I decided to go ahead and do it myself. I said, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about him. I'm going to call AAA and find out for myself what can I do about converting my term life into permanent life myself. So before I go into details about what I did in that area, let me explain to you the difference between term life and permanent life. So term life has an expiration date to it. That means it's going to expire. So they have a 10-year policy, a 20-year policy, and a 30-year policy. After the 10 years, that policy is expired, is gone. Same thing with the 20 years and the 30 years. So when you have term life, my personal opinion is that I feel that term life is really more suitable for people who is up in age, meaning like 50, 60, 70, 80 years old people, those people. I don't really believe that term life is good for anyone who's under the age of 50, because if you have a 10-year policy or a 20-year policy or even a 30-year policy, by the time that policy run out, you're a much older age. And as we know, that the premium is based off your age as well as what life insurance you actually get. And it could be high and it can be very expensive. And also, some of these some of these policies, such as the permanent, could also go off of your health. Well, it does. Not could. It does. It also goes off of your health as well. So if you ain't in good health, by the time that term life runs out, now you need to get more insurance coverage on yourself. You in a big pickle. Yeah, they got you trapped in a pickle jar. You can't get out. You're trying to figure out what to do. So that's the only thing that I really have against term life when it comes to being young versus being older. And one of the things that I also learned about term life is that it has no value. So it's just pretty much what it is. So if you cancel that term life, you don't get your money back that you paid into it. The premium, you don't get that back. All that is just gone. It just disappears. So it's, to me, I really believe that that is basically for people who are 50 years and older. Now, let's talk about permanent life. There's two types of permanent life insurance. You got universal life and you have whole life. So universal life is limited benefits. Yeah, I know. It sucks, to think about it. It is. What's limited about it is that, well, it does provide flexibility to your premium and death benefit insurance, but it has fewer guarantees. So let's say whole life. Whole life is guaranteed, right? It is. You can convert your term life into the whole life, and you're guaranteed to have whatever your life insurance policy is. You're guaranteed to have that, and it doesn't expire. Well, universal life doesn't expire either unless you don't pay your premium, of course. You end up losing it and everything. But either way it go, whole life does have a cash value to it, and it gives you an option to be able to borrow or withdraw it. Universal life also has a cash value, but is not as significant as the whole life. So I don't want to go into too much detail about the whole life and the term life and the universal life. I don't want to do all that. All I would tell you is to Google it, get online, do some research on the difference, talk to an agent. You can talk to an agent. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you an agent number. So the guy who helped me with making my conversion for my term life into universal life, I ended up getting the universal life. His name is David Moore. I'm going to give you his phone number. It's 402-575-4402. Once again, his name is David Moore, and his phone number, this is his direct line, you guys. It is 402-575-4402. And this is AAA. And what that means is that it's across the entire country of United States. So no matter where you live at, you can get life insurance. And if you call him, tell him, I heard your name mentioned by Alayla Carroll. You might know her by Tanya Carroll, but she told me to give you a call to have you discuss and give me some information about the difference between the three life insurance and what would be best for me in my situation and my age. And I'm telling you, he's a really good dude. He's funny. And we talked for hours on the phone. Yes, he was doing his job where he was giving me the best premium that he can find. He's been doing life insurance for over 30 years. We even talked about the old days when they used to come to your house to do your life insurance to set you up. Because I remember my grandmother, when I was a little girl, the insurance person would come to the house every single month to collect the payment. He said, well, I didn't really do the collection payments. I was the one who would set you up. And then another agent would come by and collect the monthly payments. I was like, oh, okay, but I remember that. He said, wow, you really remember? I said, yeah, that was like in the 80s and stuff. I remember that. And anyways, he also went in more details to get me to clearly understand how the life insurance policy works. And he was such a cool dude. So I told him, I'm going to add you. I'm going to talk about you on my podcast. I think you're a pretty cool person, and I think that you can help a lot of people when it comes to their life and everything. So he was like, yeah, that's cool. Please do. And anyway, so I wanted to share that part with you. Now, what I want to also share with you is a quote from my book. I want to do quote number 4. Quote number 4 says, if you do not learn from wise counsel, life has a way of teaching you. The point to the quote says, why put yourself through something you do not have to go through? When you go through something, you will find yourself repeating it again if you do not learn from it. When you have gone through some things and you have truly learned from them, then and only then you will move on. According to Proverbs chapter 22, verse 1 through 3, GNT version, if you have to choose between a good reputation and great wealth, choose a good reputation. But it says, the rich and poor have this in common. The Lord made them both. Sensible people will see trouble coming and avoid it, but an unthinking person will walk right into it and regret it later. Now, I know I read this quote before. When I was reading it just now, I thought about it. That's why I was kind of stumbling a little bit, because I was thinking, like, I know I read this quote before in another message. Yes, I did. That's the one good thing about my book. These quotes are applied to all different types of situations in your life. And one quote is not just tailor-made for one thing. It is tailor-made for universal things. So I wanted to share that with you. So I wanted you to hear that quote again, because one of the things that I had learned about not taking accountability or not listening to when someone give me wise counsel, that I end up making mistakes and I end up regretting it. And I'm like, oh my God, I really wish that I would have just did what they told me. I wouldn't be in this situation right now. And one of the things that I want to share with you is that don't wait until you're 70 years old talking about, I need to get some life insurance, or I need to get my life in order, or my affairs in order. Man, you know what? You don't know what's going to be like in your future. You don't know what things are going to be like. You just don't know. So it's best to just go ahead while you are young, while you are in your right mind, right now, while you're able-bodied, to go ahead and start getting your affairs in order. If you have life insurance from your job, that is a wonderful thing to have. But it's also has a downfall to it. Just like I shared with you about my friend, she had life insurance because she was working at the job, but then the job laid everybody off, and that means that her life insurance was cut off too. It's so ironic how all these years we was working there, and she was good and nothing was happening. But the minute that everyone gets laid off and she's in that number, I'm telling you guys, when we all got laid off, this is in a matter of a few months, not even a whole year, that she passed. And it's like, wow. Okay. I also thought about this scenario too. Was she going to get herself checked? Was she taking herself to the doctor every year, using her benefits, her health insurance, to go get just screenings of natural body functioning health issues, such as, like us women, we go get our well woman's exam every year? I was wondering that. Was she doing that? Because if she wasn't, maybe they could have seen something, or when they give us our breast exam while we're laying down on the table, they'll tell you pull your right arm up. Okay, I'm going to search your breast to see if any lumps are there. Now, pull your left arm up. I'm going to search your breast to see if any lumps are there. Maybe they probably would have found a lump during those times. Because one of the things about a lot of us is that we will have the benefits, but we don't go and use it. We just have it just to say, okay, well, I have health insurance, so if I end up getting sick and need to go to the emergency room, then hey, I got health insurance. But it's not about waiting until you get sick to check yourself. It's about making sure you prevent things from happening to you. And if things do happen to you, you can catch it soon, very, very soon. You can catch it early, in the early stage. So that's the reason why I was like wondering about her. Did she or didn't she? Because, we didn't really talk about any of the things that I'm talking to you guys about right now. We didn't talk about that. What we shared with each other was more so about what was happening with her and her situation at the time. And also what was happening with me with my situation at the time. We talked about that kind of stuff. But of course I was younger and not as wise as I am right now. But at the same time, hey, I'm sharing it with you guys. So now I want to read another quote for you guys. I want to read quote number 11 in my book. It's also still related to what we're talking about. So it says, quote number 11 says, being complacent can lead to dangerous grounds. What is complacent? What is complacency? A feeling of smug or uncritical satisfaction with oneself or one accomplishment. Yes, I have read this one before too. Let's talk about the point to this quote. The point to this quote says, when you are doing the same thing over and over each day, it becomes repetition and second nature to you. Therefore, you think, you stop thinking, and you just do. That is when complacency sets in. The world is changing every day, and most people are changing with it. So, don't let yourself fall behind. Always stay aware of the changes that are taking place around you and grow with the changes of time. As long as you have breath in your body, you are never too old to learn something new. So, for those of you who are old, I had to say it, who feel like y'all are just too old to learn new things, as long as you're breathing, you're not too old. You still can learn something new. I'm going to teach you something right now. If you are 70 years old and you don't have life insurance, well, whole life is not the way to go. Term life would be the best way for you. Because with term life, as long as you, I'll put it like this, in the state of Texas, and then there's other states that does this too. Find out if your state does this. In the state of Texas, as long as you live 2 years after you have signed up for term life insurance and you continue to pay your premium, you are guaranteed, well, your beneficial is guaranteed to get the payoff for your life. Yes. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to say it like this. I'm going to give you a story. My mom had a friend who was married to a man who had cancer. Well, he didn't have any life insurance. When they found out that he had cancer, she was trying to find some life insurance on him, and no one would cover him. Not with whole life and not with universal life. So she saw a commercial on TV that says, guarantee your acceptance no matter what your health is. So she decided to call them, and she decided to go ahead and pay for life insurance, term life for him. She did that. What they told her: since he has a terminal illness, I want to make you aware that if he dies before 2 years of you receiving this policy, we would not pay. But if he dies after 2 years of receiving this policy, we will pay. It's called contestant. And so she ended up paying for the policy. You know the crazy thing about it? When 2 years came, I mean exactly 2 years, he passed away. She barely made the cut to be able to be the beneficiary of him. I was like, wow. All these things that's happened, I never really just like put it to perspective until I started thinking about my own life. And I was thinking about, that's just some things that I need to make sure that I do and I cover myself on, because I don't want my family members to have to suffer. And then now that I have a child, I for sure don't want him to have to be listening to anybody talk about anything negative about me not having my affairs in order and all these things. Now, what they do with my body, I don't care. I'm not going to be here anymore. But the point is that it's not about me not being here anymore. It's about those who I leave behind. I don't want them suffering. And I understand that some of you guys might be like, I don't care about none of this, due to the fact that me and my family are not close. We don't talk. I don't give a rat's tail if they have money to bury me or not. I'm gone. I'm out of here. Oh, well, that's their problem, not mine. Well, if you think like that, I'm going to tell you first of all that that's a selfish mindset to have. And not only that that's a selfish mindset to have, that does reflect on you on your afterlife. You didn't think about that, did you? Nope, you didn't think about that. I want to share a scripture with you. Yep. So, how do that affect your afterlife? Having that type of mentality, it affects your afterlife because God sees everything. Yeah, he knows everything. He knows everything about you. He knows everything you're thinking. He knows what you do, what you don't do, what you should have done and you didn't do. Oh, he knows all these things. And he's paying attention. And he's also noticing your attitude in the whole process. So if you have an attitude like that, remember that you still got to face God right after you transition. You have to face him, and you're going to have to be held accountable for that. So I'm going to read Second Kings chapter 20, verse 1 through 6. This is what it says. About that time, Hezekiah became deadly ill, and the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, went to visit him. He gave the king this message. This is what the Lord says: set your affairs in order, for you are going to die. You will not recover from this illness. When Hezekiah heard this, he turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord. Remember, O Lord, how I always been faithful to you and have served you single-mindedly, always doing what pleases you. Then he broke down and wept bitterly. But before Isaiah had left the middle courtyard, this message came to him from the Lord. Go back to Hezekiah, the leader of my people. Tell him, this is what the Lord, the God of your ancestor David, says. I have heard your prayer and seen your tears. I will heal you, and 3 days from now, you will get out of bed and go to the temple of the Lord. I will add 15 years to your life, and I will rescue you in the city, and this city from King of Asriel. Now, here it is. Hezekiah is on his deathbed. God sends a prophet to him to tell him to get his affairs in order. This is the tricky thing about that passage, that scripture. You about to die. You on your deathbed. You in the hospital. Hold up. How are you going to be able to get your affairs in order right now? Because it's pretty much too late due to the fact that you're so ill you can't really make no moves. You hear what I'm trying to, do you hear what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying about this particular scripture. I was thinking these thoughts while I was reading and listening to the passage. First I listened to it, then I read it. And I was like, this, God, make this make sense to me. So this is what God showed me. He said, yeah, I sent him a prophet to tell him to get his affairs in order while he was on his deathbed, because he's going to surely die. But this is one thing that was different about me telling him to get his affairs in order. I know that he was going to pray to me, and he was going to weep to me, and he was going to humble himself. I have already seen the future of what I was going to do for him. I already knew I was going to add 15 more years to his life. I just needed to see him do it. Show me how humbling you are to me. So basically, what I'm saying here is this. God had already knew he was going to give Hezekiah 15 years. He already knew he was going to do that. He's going to add more 15 years to him. Give him more 15 years to live. Why would he send a prophet to tell Hezekiah to get his affairs in order? Because this right here, you have 15 years to get your affairs in order, Hezekiah. That's why my prophet is here to tell you this. So get your affairs in order, you guys. See, the difference between us and Hezekiah is that we don't always gonna know. We're not gonna always know when God is gonna take us. He's not gonna necessarily send us a prophet and say, "You're gonna die." He's not gonna do that all the time. I ain't saying he won't do it, but what I'm saying is don't expect him to do it, because we don't know how our life is going to end up in the long run. We don't know how we're going to be taken out of here. We don't know if it's going to be promptly or if it's going to be something that we're sick and we already know that we have a certain amount of time. Either way it go, don't operate thinking that you have a lot of time. Operate in the matter, in the mindset that I just need to get my affairs in order, because whenever it's my time, I know that my family is going to be all right. Because really, if you go into 2 Kings and you read about what was happening at that time with Hezekiah, he's the son of David. Is he the son of David? No, that's the wrong one. Okay, that was Saul. My bad. Okay, I was thinking about two different things. But what I'm saying here is, in that time, it had a lot of things to do with his kingdom, God's people. It wasn't really about Hezekiah. It was mainly about God's people. Because once Hezekiah was gone, who was left behind? God's people, the people of Israel. So that's what you need to be thinking about. Who's going to be left behind? Those who's left behind when you're no longer here. Well, you guys, I hope this message helps. I hope that you get something out of this. I know that I was kind of stumbling a little bit over my words and everything this time around. Please forgive me. I'm human. Don't hold it to my heart. But I really feel that this message needed to get out to you guys. One of the things that I realized about giving messages, if it's a profound message that's going to change somebody's life, the devil always seems to try to interfere in some type of way. And what I mean is that when I was giving this message to you guys, as I was going through it, I was kind of stumbling over my words because my thoughts kept taking me to a place where I'm hearing certain things such as like, these people don't want to hear that. That's what I'm hearing, like that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, God, I knew you told me to give this message, but tell me, why is Satan interfering in it? And at the same time, I can hear this. I'm telling y'all the truth. I can hear this. And God said, keep going. Don't stop. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. So that's what was happening with me in the stumbling part of me giving this message. Now, I thought about stopping it, erasing it, start over. No. I wanted to keep this in here because I need y'all to see something. What I want you to see is that Satan has a way of always showing up when you are actually doing God's work. When you are really in the middle of trying to do exactly what God gave you to do, Satan shows up. Think about it. If you know about the scriptures and you know about the time when Christ, his name is Yeshua, when he went into the wilderness to fast, who showed up? Satan did. He showed up to tempt him. So in this situation of what I just had going on, Satan showed up and I could hear him. in my mind telling me the people are not going to want to hear this. This is not something that you should be talking about. That kind of stuff. Oh, I'm going to tell y'all guys this. I am going to talk about whatever God told me to talk about. Whatever message the Lord gives me to share with you guys, I am going to share it. Because one thing I don't want is for something to happen and I don't give that message and then God come back at me with it. I don't want that to happen. I want to share another story with you guys. What I want to share is this. This is why I'm so adamant about making sure that I get my message across. Whatever it is that God gives me, this is why. I remember when I was in my 20s. I was about 21, 22 years old. Actually, I was 21. And I was dating this guy that I was high school sweetheart with. And he was actually my first love who I was supposed to marry. And we got engaged and everything. But I ended up calling off the wedding right before the wedding. I was like so super afraid of being a wife at that time because I wasn't ready. I knew that I had a whole lot of living to do. I knew that I wanted to go have fun. I knew I wanted to experience life in a different way besides just him. And we all have our moments like that when we're growing up. You just don't know what your life is going to be like, and sometimes some people get scared and want to cling to somebody and be all tight up underneath them, be dependent on them on that person. Well, I was the opposite. I was the one that wanted to get out and just have a good time and find my own way. Well, we ended up breaking up, and I had a dream about him and his cousin. Well, his cousin had a lifestyle that pretty much that anyone who did what he did, that it's only two ways that was going to go. You're either going to be in prison or you're going to be dead. Well, in my dream, what happened was that I saw someone killing his cousin. But the way it happened was the most interesting thing was this. I was in the car with him. We had pulled up to a house, and when we got out the house, somebody rolled up on us in the car and started shooting. So pretty much it was like a drive-by shooting. And I remember seeing myself running behind the house. And once the gunshots had went away, I remember seeing myself walk back to the front of the yard, and I saw his cousin laid out on the ground, shot up. And my fiance was somewhere like hiding in a corner somewhere, shaking and just like terrified. And pretty much he was dead. His cousin was dead. That's what I dreamt about. Okay, in real life, 2 weeks later, after I had that dream, it actually happened. It came true. Well, before the dream, I can say before the dream, before it came true, I called my fiance on the phone to warn him about the dream that I had. He was mad at me. He didn't want to talk to me because he was so mad that I had called off the wedding and that I broke up with him. So he was pissed. And I was like, look, I need to share this dream with you. I just want to tell you, before you get to hanging up on me, let me just tell you about the dream. And he was like, okay, what? He said, you and your dreams, when you be having these dreams and stuff, I don't know if I need to hear it because I know some of them be coming true. I don't know about this. I said, no, seriously, this is a matter of life and death. And I think you need to hear it. So I told him about the dream, and he was like, you know what? Goodbye. And he hung up. I said, wow, he just hung up in my face. Oh my God, it's like that? So what I did after that, I said, well, God, I gave the message. So however he take it, he take it. Like I said, 2 weeks later after I had that dream, his cousin died the same way that I had in a dream. Weirdest, I don't know what, but It did. His mother was the one who had confirmed to me about what really happened and how it happened. And I told her about my dream, and she was like, "Oh my goodness." I said, he didn't want to listen to me when I called him, all that kind of stuff. And the problem with that is that my fiance have never been the same. My ex-fiance, he my fiance, oh my God. But my ex-fiance, he had never been the same again. I mean, his mind was gone. He did not believe his cousin was dead. He had went to the funeral and everything, cried over his casket and everything, and he still did not believe he was dead. His mental capacity pretty much was shifted. And I don't know if it was because he felt guilty because he was warned and could have warned his cousin about that. I don't know. And maybe it had a lot to do with anything that's you feel that you should have done and don't do it. It could have a lot to do with how you handle things when stuff just really hit the fan. And that was part of the reason why I felt that I need to give the message, no matter if the person want to hear it or not. I'm still going to do my part to give the message. Just like Jonah in the well. I don't want to be swallowed by a whale, because I don't want to go give a message that God told me to give, So anyways, I'm going to be signing out. I'm Alayla. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook. And you can follow me on my website. The link is also in this message. So make sure that you follow me on it. And I am hoping you guys have a blessed day. Have a blessed year. Have a blessed season. And no matter how things may look, always remember that God holds the future. Call on him and he can help you through it. Signing out, Alayla. Are you feeling overwhelmed and exhausted by stress? Introducing Stress Management with Imaging Coaching, your ticket to a calmer, more balanced life. In this journey you will be taking with us here at Imaging Coaching, we'll equip you with powerful techniques and tools you can use to conquer stress, regain control, and transform your life. From deep breathing exercises to mindfulness practices, you'll discover the tools to relax your mind and body. Come join us on this transformative path and unlock a world of inner peace and resilience. Don't let stress hold you back any longer. Take charge of your well-being today with Imaging Coaching, your stress management team. Discover clarity. Defeat stress through Imaging Coaching at imagingcoaching.com. At imagingcoaching.com. At imagingcoaching.com. At imagingcoaching.com.